Hey guys, welcome to another video. I wanted to go ahead and say that I haven't been posting for a while because I've just been wrapping up a semester in grad school, and now that that's finished, I plan to be putting out a lot more videos. So I'm going to try to make one probably at least every week or so during the Christmas break. So be looking forward to that. I have a lot of exciting things to talk about, and I look forward to sharing those with you guys. The channel has actually been growing at a surprising rate. I had no idea that anyone would want to hear my voice, so thank you to everyone who has been subscribing, and thank you for the people who have been following me since my first video. I know my quality is not great, but I like to hear myself talk, I guess. So thank you guys. So today we're going to be talking about something that's kind of important, kind of cool. We're going to be talking about my helmet. So before we talk about any specifics or anything like that, I'm just going to go ahead and address the reason why I have a helmet. And really, there shouldn't be a reason why anyone would have to justify to have a helmet. If you want one, go ahead and get it. This one is not armored, so it doesn't have any ballistic protection, and I'll talk about that and why I chose that. But this is kind of the sole purpose for this is to mount night vision. So I'll talk about that in a separate video, but just know that that is the sole purpose I have this. So a lot of people have helmets maybe for training. I know some people, if they train at a shoot house, I think that you have to have some kind of ballistic protection. I don't do any of that cool stuff. This is specifically for night vision hanging. So a little bit about why I chose non-ballistic. So as you know, if anyone has ever served in the military or had any interaction with ballistic helmets, they're heavy. And as technology progresses, they're getting lighter and lighter and still having the same protection, but it's kind of in the science of protecting against bullets. Mass has to counteract that mass. So a non-ballistic, or a bump helmet if you will, it's still a helmet, but it just doesn't have ballistic protection. So what we have in front of me is my Core Carbon SF. So not exactly what sure SF means, but it's just the newer generation of the Core. So the reason that the carbon is here is it's lightweight. It has ventilation holes, so it's breathable. It has a little bit of more rigidity over the plastic shells. And on the SF line, you can have the modular bungee system, MBS or whatever. It's just a new modular shroud from Core. So anyways, so before we dive into any of the specifics, I just wanted to get that out of the way, what it is, why I have it, kind of those reasons. So let's dive into it. Like I said, the reason that I have this helmet is to support night vision. So one of the things that people are concerned with when they're mounting night vision to helmet is the weight. And it's not really, a lot of people say neck fatigue, blah, blah, blah. That's all very true. But since my helmet is a carbon helmet, I don't really have to focus on the total weight. What I'm talking about is balance. So I don't have anything mounted on the front, but when you are setting up a helmet, and imagine if I didn't have all this crap on here, just have your night vision device. If you balance it, it should be perfectly even in the center of gravity on the tip of your head. So how you do that, how you counteract that, because if I were to add something heavy up here, like a binocular system or something like that, it would pull it forward. But one of the most important things that you can do to add to a night vision helmet or helmet setup is this counterweight. So this is the Core Counterweight pouch. It comes with little inserts. Actually, if you undo this Velcro, it comes with little metal inserts that are each weights. I'm not sure what kind of metal they are. It probably might be lead, so don't touch them a lot. But what that is it's just weights inside of a pouch to add some weight on the back of your helmet to counteract the weight of your night vision. You'll notice that it has two screws that mount on the bottom of the arc rails. So it's a really secure and a really good way of mounting a counterweight. Back when I used to have a Team Wendy helmet, it was just Velcro. I used one of the EOG pouches. Basically anything works. Some people even, have pouches back here for batteries. If you can do anything to get some weight on the back of your helmet to kind of counteract that night vision, you will be thanking yourself in the long run, because you will notice when you're running your helmet, your head is going to be tilting forward, and that's going to get annoying. It's going to cause a lot of neck strain, etc. So this is something that's very important that's often overlooked. So the next piece of gear on my helmet is ear protection. So I usually shoot suppressed, but even if I'm shooting suppressed for a long duration, I always like to run ear protection. I found that Peltor Comtacs are probably one of the best options there, because they have a really good mic quality. So you're not having to hold up one ear and say huh, what'd you say? You're aware of your ambient situation. And I've also noticed that even when I'm wearing these, not in sort of like a training or shooting environment, but when I'm out hunting or something like that, I'm able to hear things better. And it's because I've kind of neglected my hearing protection sometimes, and I don't hear as well. But the Peltor Comtacs actually do a really good job of amplifying noise. You can see I kind of had to be creative with my cable management, and zip ties are your friend in this. I kind of figured out my own situation, but one thing to address is that there is a cable connecting the two. So there is a cable connecting the right and the left side. I have that kind of routed through my counterweight pouch, so kind of have a cable going like this. So cable management is also something you're going to have to figure out when you are setting up your helmet, especially if you're running something like these. But that's why things like Howard lights or something like that might be an avenue if you want to go that route. I probably won't ever use the comms connection. It wouldn't have even bothered me if I got the non-comms version, but I just found these were a good price, and so I did it. So these are the Peltor Comtacs. So another thing that I had on my previous helmet setup was the Light Fighter. Something, I can't remember who made it, but they were gel cups, and they also had a cutout for your glasses. So definitely going to do that in the future. Was definitely worth every penny of an upgrade. For those of you who wear glasses, you'll know what I mean, especially when you're dealing with things that are squishing against your head. It causes a lot of pressure points, and it's just uncomfortable. So I'll put a link in the description so you can go check those out for yourself. They make gel pads for all kinds of ear protection, so I would definitely consider those as a good option. This next component on my helmet is really important, especially for what it does, and that is the S&S Precision Manta strobe. So for those of you who have been to some kind of night shoot competition or something like that, a lot of times you'll see them handing out glow sticks to kind of like, attach to your hat, keeping your, tight to your pants or something like that, but just to identify where you are, especially in the dark. Because people who don't have night vision devices, or people who are relying on flashlights or something like that, they need to know where you are. So this is, forgive me, I don't really know the acronym. I think it's IFF. I think it's Identify Friendly Forces. But basically what this means is when you turn this on, it has different modes to indicate where you are in the dark. So I'm going to turn it on, but I'm not sure if the microphone will pick it up. But what you're going to hear is I'll turn it on and you'll hear some vibrations. And then when I use these buttons on the side to go through the different modes, you'll also hear the vibrations. So what that is, or why that is because when you're wearing this on the back of your helmet, you can't see the back of your head, and so those vibrations will carry through the helmet and kind of tell you what's going on. So I'll go ahead and turn this on, see if you can hear it. Okay. So not sure if the camera is going to be able to pick it up, but this mode, and there are several modes out there, This mode I think is in infrared blinking, not really sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down these buttons. Okay, and so it vibrated twice, and then it's going to change modes. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Okay, so this mode is actually green constant on, so it's just always visible green. This type of situation I would use, say for example, in those night shoots. So if I want people to know where I am all the time, you know, it's relatively close quarters or something like that. This next feature, and the reason why I think that this one is probably the most advantageous, is because it has a really long range. Hold on one sec. There it goes. So it's the green constant, and it's also white strobe. So the green constant, you know, identifies where you are, and I think that the white strobe does a really good job of, you know, long range, here I am kind of things. So that is the Manta strobe. It's powered by a CR123. They changed them, I guess. They use a metal tail cap now. They used to use a plastic one, and I've seen a lot of people have problems with them fracturing, you know, letting water in, something like that. But it's really good that they're using aluminum tail caps now. And as you can see, it's just attached with Velcro. And the SF carbon has really, you know, distinct cutouts. Like, it perfectly fits the Manta. So, you know, coincidence? I think not. So what I have here, it's kind of two pieces, if you will. So obviously this is a Surefire 300 mini scout light. It's also, it's an M300V by Surefire. But what we also have is the body of it is actually made by S&S Precision, the same people who made the Manta. What this does is it allows for the articulation. So as you can see, it's got a lot of movement, a lot of flexibility, and it also stows really close to the helmet when you need it to. It's called their max mount, or like multi-axis mount. But what it does is it allows you to have hands-free manipulation of your light. I actually just had to adjust the torque on the mount because it comes from the factory, loose. But if you want it to be more tight, so if you want it to hold specific situations, you just have two little set screws down here, tighten them up, and then it just stays where it wants. What this is used for is, say for example, you turn off your night vision, you want to look at a map, you want to check your fuel gauges and your razor, whatever you need to. You can just flip over, point it straight down, turn it on. Also, the reason that you get the Vampire with it is because it's IR capabilities. For those of you who know, about night vision and night vision illumination, a good illuminator is always beneficial. So the 300V has a really good illuminator, does really good in places that are really dark. If maybe you find yourself in a dark cave with your night vision and your helmet, you have a really good illuminator to light your way through. So, for those of you who know how night vision works, you can't do anything without some sort of infrared illumination. So, this is the S&S Max Mount. I think this is a really good option. There are some cheaper ones out there that I think that are really good. The Princeton Tech is a really good option. Duracell discontinued one. They had a good one. Surefire also makes a light that has different light modes. So sometimes you'll see a red light or blue light, things like that. It's kind of user preference, but I find that pretty much white and infrared are my only needed options. So this is the S&S Max Mount. So last but not least, I have my Wilcox G24 Mount on it. This is pretty much the kind of the bread and butter of night vision mounts. This is a dovetail mount. For those of you who know about the differences between dovetail, anvis, and bayonet, it's kind of user preference, kind of application based, but I definitely think that dovetail and anvis are kind of like the mainstays, with dovetail being more popular. Just because, I'm not going to get into it. But what this allows is for a lot of adjustment. So you have adjustment between height levels, so you can adjust it up and down. and you just lock it with that lever. You also, of course, have the stowing capabilities, so it really positively locks it, not very much wiggle. Also has the distance from your face. I run mine pretty close, but you can adjust that as needed. And then it also has tilt, so you can adjust this little screw right here for tilt. And a lot of people don't know, but this little lever is the breakaway function. What that is for is if you have your goggles, hooked up to your helmet, maybe stowed, you snag them on something, instead of putting all that strain on the goggle themselves, this whole mount is going to just dislodge from the helmet. So I'm not going to break it away, but basically it'll just snap off like that. So yeah, that is the Wilcox G24. So there's kind of a lot going on here, but I really think that this is kind of the average setup of how a night vision helmet should be. So if you want to break it down into categories, you obviously have the most important part, the mount, which I wouldn't skimp on. Wilcox is the way. You have your illumination, which I think is definitely necessary. So if you're ever out checking targets, maybe if you're hunting, you just dropped a pig, maybe you need to track a blood trail, something like that. This will come in handy, as well as the illumination with the Vampire series. Obviously ear protection, because you only get one set of ears. Trust me, you might look like a goof out there wearing ear pro and a suppressor, but you will thank yourself later. Counterweight, obviously, like we talked about, this will reduce neck strain. It'll just make it easier on yourself. And then the IFF beacon, which will tell everyone where you are in the dark. So I think that is probably the bare bones I would go to. I know a lot of this is done on the budget conscious side. I'm really fortunate to have this setup, but I definitely think that this is kind of the long term. Like I have no problem with running this for the next 5-10 years as is. So this is my Oscore SF helmet. I really like it a lot. The reason that I think that the SF is better than the current carbon, there's not really that much differences, but other than weight reduction, ventilation, and then the Velcro pattern is just a little more user friendly, as well as the new shroud. The new shroud option is really good. So this is it. I will see you guys soon in my next video. Thank you guys for your support, and be safe.